Hello and good evening, you guys. Today it is, well, technically it's actually the early morning of, well, just after midnight on Tuesday, June 8th, 2021. So when this does get uploaded, it will be a June 8th video. So that'll be the date of the video that I'll call it. So for this video today, I'm going to sit down and do a little bit. I'm going to take a viewer's question and turn it into a video. So I want to dedicate this video to my viewer, Boston Warrior 48, because, I figured, hey, why not take 5 to 10 minutes and talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins Vegas Gold era uniforms that they had since, I believe, I think it was like 2001 all the way till the end of the 2015-16 season, which it was a long time, and I'll share my thoughts on the Vegas Gold era of Pittsburgh Penguin uniforms. So, as I said to my viewer, Boston Warrior 48, in the comments section of the video where he asked me about my thoughts on these, I said to him that, the pre-Reebok Edge uniforms, this one and its white counterpart, were okay. I mean, you still had the Robo Penguin on the shoulder, which I'll try to pull that up here without having this fall off my dresser. You had the Vegas Gold, and notice the difference between the new gold they started using in the Reebok years and the pre-Edge uniform, which Reebok, I know, made this material at the end of their run before they started bringing out the Edge jerseys. I know that, but the shinier Vegas Gold is so much nicer than the muted matte flat khaki gold. And another thing too about the Vegas Gold era, with the exception of the Stadium Series jersey, they actually used Glacier Twill. And it's this really, really cool little bit of embroidery inside of the captaincy patches, the player names and numbers. And you know what? I'm going to have some fun with this one today. And I'll show you the back of my Crosby replica. I bought this last year, and the reason I wanted to buy this when I saw this was because, well, as my one viewer, Mr. Windy City Hockey, he was telling me about Glacier Twill, and I thought to myself, you know what? I need to get my hands on a jersey that has this Glacier Twill stuff. So that's what I did. And then you can also notice it in the numbers. And good thing I'm using my iPhone here, because at least it's clear enough that you can actually see that that cutting technique or whatever they use to create that Glacier Twill. It's so cool. That is one thing about these uniforms that I do think is really cool. But the early 2000s, the pre-Reebok Edge Penguins jerseys like this one here, obviously you've got the triangular stripes on the sides. And these uniforms were okay. I mean, I will say this, they were okay. These are much better than the Reebok Edge version of these, that's for sure. But, even these, I find that the Vegas Gold is very dull. I mean, you look at the home and away jerseys that they've thankfully gone back to in the past 5 years. Those are the best jerseys Pittsburgh's ever had by far. I love the bright, as they call it, Pittsburgh Gold, whether it's on the crest or the striping or the blocks of that bright, bright, beautiful gold on the upper sleeves of the arms. It just looks so much better. And the thing is, I think this uniform, if they wanted to do this as a third jersey, or even a Vegas Gold reverse retro of these uniforms, I would be a fan of that. I actually think something like that would look really cool. Or even a bright Pittsburgh Gold flip of the reverse retro jersey they did this year. Yeah, I think something like that would be cool too, eh? But with Pittsburgh's pre-Edge jerseys, they were okay. But I think at the most, it should have only been a case where they kept their jerseys they've thankfully gone back to and introduced something like this as an alternate jersey at the most. Having this as your primary look home and away, it's just not as good. And I'll never be a fan of that Vegas Gold color as the primary color for the Pittsburgh Penguins over the Pittsburgh gold that they thankfully have gone back to. So these were okay, but they're definitely a product of their time, and at the most, it should have only been a case where they never actually changed their back-to-back early 90s uniforms, and they should have at the most introduced something like this as a new alternate uniform, and that should have been all it ever was. But they actually made this in a matching away. And what would have been nice is if they would have taken advantage of the opportunity to actually bring out a Vegas gold jersey, but maybe with technology 20 years ago, maybe they weren't able to do that. But I mean, if you look at this muted matte khaki fabric, I mean, if they can do that on a jersey, I don't know why they couldn't make the color of it a khaki jersey, or I guess Vegas gold. But the Reebok Edge version of these uniforms were crap. I did not like the Reebok piping and the Reebok pit stains on. Well, the Pittsburgh Penguins didn't have the piping, but they had the generic boring Reebok template where you've got some armpit area paneling, and it just wasn't, those were never good uniforms at all. But when they introduced this Stadium Series uniform, I liked it right away. I mean, I've always, and you know what, the chromed crest for this logo actually looks really cool. And you know what, I wanted to pull this out of my closet today because truth is, I haven't worn it in a while, and I should. But you know, you look at the back, they should have done the Glacier Twill for this jersey. I don't care what anybody says. Then you've got the blocks of Glacier Twill and the futuristic template. See, this is something else about Reebok. When they brought new stuff in, a lot of times it was tasteful. Except that little time in the 07-08 season and the 08-09 season where a bunch of teams had really bad half-finished or templated crap. And Pittsburgh was one of the casualties of that. But I mean, to my viewer, Boston Warrior 48, this Stadium Series jersey is definitely my favorite white jersey from the Vegas gold colored uniform era for the Penguins. But as I said to you in that comment, in that conversation I had, I feel that the Pittsburgh Penguins had a major missed opportunity when they played in their 2014 Stadium Series game against the Chicago Blackhawks. Because although I think that this jersey was actually not bad, and the socks were horrible, but the pants they wore and this jersey were actually not bad. But I still think to this day they missed a major opportunity to give us a Vegas gold jersey. And I've always been disappointed that the Penguins never brought this design back for at least a game or two after they wore it in Chicago for that outdoor game. That was just really, really highly disappointing in my opinion. And, you know, they should have had a Vegas gold. This design, but in Vegas gold, would have been really cool. And in fact, I actually think that would have been a cool idea to make a third jersey for a year or two, even though I'd rather the Pittsburgh Penguins go full-time retro, which they did. But, you know, they could have done this or in Vegas gold and then worn it for multiple games after that outdoor game, and then the next season brought that out for one more season, and then the following season just go full-time retro. They could have done that, or even in the future, a Vegas gold version of this would look really cool in my opinion. I still think it was a major missed opportunity. And, you know, I've never liked any of the Vegas gold era uniforms, even though I do think the black one you see here is okay. And if they ever brought it back as a third, it would be tolerable. I don't miss it, but I think it would be okay as a third jersey, or even a gold flip of this one as a reverse retro would be cool too. But I'd like to see a Vegas gold flip of this Stadium Series jersey right here. Even a black flip would be interesting, but I'd rather see a Vegas gold. And it's too bad we never got a Vegas gold jersey from the Penguins. So if they ever do a reverse retro event ever again, I think one of these two designs in Vegas gold would look really cool. Now, speaking of which, excuse me. Before I wrap up this video today, I've got something a little bit extra for you, Boston Warrior 48. And this is a concept I made a while ago, and I have to make a little confession here before I get into talking about my concept here. But I actually went and slightly tweaked the pants before I did this video. I mean, this template is a template that I made. It's not the greatest, but I really wanted to take my idea and turn it into a concept, and that's what I did a long time ago. So with the exception of the arm striping, which I did at the time when I made this, I made it go all the way around the arms. I think if I were to do it in real life, I would actually have it the exact same style as my Stadium Series jersey, but this is what a Vegas Gold jersey would have looked like if Pittsburgh wore this instead of the white version that I own and that they actually wore against Chicago. But you see, I think this is a really big missed opportunity from 7 years ago, because I think a Vegas Gold jersey would have been really cool. And the other thing too is that we've never seen a Vegas Gold jersey. I mean, Pittsburgh's used that color. The Anaheim Ducks still continue to use their khaki gold, which is basically the exact same, I think. And I could be wrong, so I'm not going to say that I know for sure because I'm not fully sure on that. But, you know, they still use that metallic-y khaki color. And, you know, to see one team do something different with a khaki jersey, or I shouldn't call it that, I should call it Vegas Gold, but a Vegas Gold jersey would actually be pretty cool. Now, would I have preferred if the Vegas Golden Knights used this shade of gold? Absolutely not. The gold that they went with is marvelous. It's beautiful. But since the Pittsburgh Penguins have used this color in their history, I do think this would be a great design to revisit and do a Vegas Gold flip of. But to answer your question in a video, Boston Warrior 48, I've never cared for the Vegas Gold era of the Penguins uniforms. But their pre-edge black jersey, I think, is actually okay. I would never want to see it as a primary uniform ever again, but as a third jersey at one point, or as an exciting little extra throwback uniform to wear once in a blue moon, like what the Blues have done with their royal blue 90s throwback. I think minimal usage like that would be interesting one day. And their Stadium Series jersey, their first one, I've always thought was actually not bad. But once again, if they ever do a reverse retro program again, if they did a Vegas Gold flip of the Stadium Series jersey, like my concept here, that would be so cool. But yeah, I thought Boston Warrior 48, I'd make a little extra video for you. And speaking of viewer requests and all that, I know that I've got an international jersey video that I want to do for Sean, and to my other viewer, Donnell. I know that you asked me to do a video about reverse retro jerseys, so that is one that I am definitely going to start to get planning for, because I don't like leaving people's viewer requests hanging, and I want to make sure that I get to those as soon as I can. And also, I think there's one other viewer request, but if there's any viewer requests besides those that I've been missing, please feel free to comment down below and mention what they are. I'll write them down, and I'm going to see if I can't tackle them in the coming few weeks, in fact. So, on that note, I thought I'd make this bonus little video today. And let me know what you think about my thoughts in the comments section below on their Vegas Gold era uniforms. And I hope all of you have enjoyed this video if you've stuck around all the way through. And until my next video, you guys take care. And as usual, bye for now.